What's going on, everybody? I'm John,
I'm Denison.
and this is the Catch Up. All right, welcome into the Catch Up. You already know what's going on. We're catching up. We're seeing what's been going on in each other's lives. Just a couple of guys, long-time friends, and we live in different states now. So we got to catch up, and we just want to share that with you. Talk about some trending topics, something that hopefully you can relate to, and maybe even take something away from, and hopefully make it a part of your day, your week, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, listen, man. Like, first of all, we are figuring this podcast thing out as we go. It is a
very confusing and very painful.
Yeah, it is a struggle, man. It's like, you can Google search things, you can research and all this stuff, and you're gonna have all these people that are like, hey, you should try this, you should try this. But in the end of the day, like, sometimes they're just trying to sell products too,
Exactly.
So, you gotta be like, oh man, what's actually gonna work here? Like, and so it just takes a while. Denison already has upgraded his mic, and
I hope you guys can tell. It sounds a little bit better, at least I think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, it sounds a lot better. So we're getting there, and we're just working on some things behind the scenes too. But yeah, so hopefully y'all stick with us and just continue to come along for the ride, and
you gotta bear with us.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share with your friends, do all that good stuff, the stuff that people typically ask for when you like their content.
Yeah.
But we're going to try something a little new. Before we start catching up, see what's going on, we're going to try something new. We're still going to do the topics, we're going to do the trending topics, whatever, but we're going to save the end. Till the end, we're going to save, I don't know, what should we call it? Probably, we're going to call it the heavy topic of the week, alright?
Heavy moment, yes.
Yeah, something that, it's gonna be heavy. It's gonna be maybe sometimes even tough to talk about. But once again, hopefully something y'all can take away from, take something away from and relate to some extent. So, all right, but yeah, let's get started here. So yeah, man, tell me what's been going on with you. What's been going on?
Oh man, not much. I'm just doing my thing, all that stuff. Really, it's a lot of work stuff.
Still work stuff.
Still work stuff, man. That's the problem of being an adult. You actually have to work. It's kind of sad.
I know, right?
But I am getting one thing ready because I'm big on cars, so
yes.
And I like doing stuff to my car. For the most part, my car is pretty much done, but I am actually thinking about getting it painted. So lately, I've been researching some good places to get it painted.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know if I don't know if I want to spend a huge amount, especially since I do want to get a new car. But I know that if I get a new car, I'm still going to keep the car that I have now. So,
okay.
It may be a little bit of a Mako paint job, which I know is a little bit of a problem. But my last car had a Mako paint job, and it turned out pretty well.
Right.
That was a pretty sexy looking car, man.
It was, man. It looked good. It looked good. I mean, it looked good. I mean, you honestly couldn't even tell that, you couldn't even tell that there was like a cheaper paint job, which really like Mako. So Mako is it only in Texas or is it just like the South?
I think it's nationwide.
Is it nationwide?
I think so.
I haven't found one in Kansas, but I mean, that's not surprising.
Yeah, well, there's not much up there.
I mean, we have the world's biggest ball of yarn. Okay, so y'all swing by for that. But Mako's good. Like, they do a good job. I remember they did a good job on your older Elantra, and it looked like a high quality paint job.
I'll say they're very hit or miss. You have to find the right franchise.
Yeah, and you gotta go at the right time of day too. Make sure you got somebody clean working on that,
Exactly.
When some dude that just pulled off the street, it's like, oh, man.
Hey, man, you got a steady hand. Come
Yeah, right.
paint.
Yeah, right. So, but no, they do a good job, and that's just the problem. So like Dennison's car is bright red, kind of like my truck. Like you got to pick up. It's not bright red, but it keeps getting brighter red the more the years go by.
Yeah,
Red's just a bad color, man.
yeah, that's the problem. Red fades, and when it fades, it turns into pink.
I know. And it looks
So
cool. It looks cool when it's new. I mean, it looks great, but just what do you call it? The chemical makeup of
the upkeep on it is really hard.
yeah, and the chemical makeup of the color red. It just fades in sunlight faster than almost any other color.
That is true.
So it's just something you gotta deal with. But yeah, man, no, I mean Denison has worked long and hard on this, on his car. And man, I mean, you put in work. You've taken it from just an average car to like a better than average car for sure.
Yeah, I try my best. Try my best. A lot of it is just I upgrade my car to stuff that I like and I want. I want my car to have certain features. So sometimes I'll move some stuff that newer cars have on them, and I'll put it on mine. I think for the
Oh
most
yeah.
part, I've gotten it to a point to where I don't think there's much more that I can do. But hey, I'm just gonna do paint because it's chipping away, man. Any more paint chips and paint cancer that it gets, I'll have to start calling it chippy or cancer. So,
oh, that's brutal. Okay, yeah,
it's not great.
no, that's a tough one. No, I mean, that's just how it goes with that color. I mean, I would repaint my truck too.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's just like at this point, the paint.
You're on the edge.
Right. Yeah. So I've been saving up that. I mean, that's what I've been doing this past week is just looking at pickups, man. I mean, so I've been saving up for a new truck for a while. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a truck guy, but it's just something I've always had. And I feel like you just gotta have a truck, man. And the thing is, like, so I have this 96 Ford Ranger and, bought it from my grandfather. Yeah. Oh, it's real clean. I actually just got a compliment on it tonight.
Nice.
It's like getting some coffee, going through, being basic and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the, barista and whatnot she was like, I'm sorry, I just been like checking out your truck real quick because it's like super shiny for how old it is. And I was like, yeah.
Thanks for the backhanded compliment.
I know, right? I'm like, I think that's positive, but I'll take it either way. So no, I mean it stands out for its age, but it's just my grandfather got it in '98, and there was a guy that had it 2 years before him. He only put 20,000 miles on it, my grandfather did. And so then I've pretty much doubled that. It only has about 130,000 miles on it, and it's 22 years old, so it's really good, but it just trucks age. And literally those first 2 years that this truck was alive, like it was the guy lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and so they put a lot of salt on the roads up there.
Oh yeah.
And all that stuff. And so it impacted it so much that just that short amount of time it was up north, it rusted out not rusted out, but it put rust on so much of the undercarriage. And so when you have stuff like, yeah, well, yeah, so, that's crazy. I thought I had told you that. No, man, I mean, this is what catching up's all about, but yeah, no, I mean, it's just, over time, that just continues to build and build. And so, regardless, it's an old truck anyway. It's time for a new one. And, so I've been looking at Silverados. I love me a good Silverado. Anything post 2014, man. Just because they look so good. And, the technology has come such a long way to where, like, you can have the power of a V8, and I honestly like the Rumble as well, but you can bring that along with you and get good fuel mileage out of it too,
Exactly. V6 will pretty much do everything that you need.
The V6? No, man, I'm talking V8, man.
Okay.
No.
I mean, your V8 will do a lot, but I believe your V6 still does a lot. I mean, really,
Oh,
your
yeah.
V8 is great for. It's not gonna be pushing a lot. You know, it's not gonna be huffing a lot,
No.
especially at those higher mile or at that higher speed. So, I mean, I'll say a V8 is great for cruising, and it'll give you the adequate amount of torque if you want to tow something or anything like that. But still,
Yeah.
I'm still on the big bandwagon of the modern V8 or V6, sorry, because the modern
Man,
V6 has changed a lot, man.
I know. Man, people are gonna be confused. Which one is Paul talking about? V8, V6?
It's V6.
No. But yeah, so like, the thing is, like, I mean, I like a V6 too. But I just feel like with the truck, you gotta have a V8, man. And the thing for me is this, like, so this truck I have currently has been in my family for 20 years, right?
Yep.
But, I mean, I'm not saying the next one will be, but I
Mhm.
want to keep it for a good long time, you know?
Mhm.
So eventually, we're going to start a family, going to do all kinds of things, you know, big boy stuff.
Mhm.
And I want to be able to grow into it with my truck.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's just the goal right now. I mean, I'm just trying to have something I can grow into and, you know, eventually tow and haul stuff with. And man, I mean, to tell you the truth, like you said, cruising down the highway, like, I mean, that would be perfect. I'm tired of flying, man. I'm so tired of flying. So next time that we can catch up and not have to do it, you know, long distance, I'm looking to drive down there.
Yeah,
So
man.
I'd love to do a new pickup, but
It
anyway,
would
so
be
that's
pretty
what,
cool.
right? I mean, that's what, yeah. So that's what I've had going on. And it's a struggle too because, you know, find a good deal, especially up here in Wichita, man. It's like everybody's looking at the same time you are. So you find a good deal, well, it's gone like a couple hours later, or not a couple hours later, a couple days later.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make it all that dramatic, but a couple days later. Um, and then you know you like, you find a whole bunch of stuff that's not a good deal and not worth your time, you know.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then it's just, I mean, they're just not as plentiful. I've looked down there, I've looked online and looked down there in Texas,
Mhm.
and
There's
that,
tons of them, man.
oh my god. Well, obviously it's Texas, you know, so
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean,
what, what's that Ford
truck country,
commercial?
man.
Yeah.
Ford is the
Yeah.
best in Texas, bro.
It's truck country. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, so anyway, look down there and they got a whole bunch more options and more like stuff that I want, and it's even cheaper. Because like up here they can be like, well, we know this is what y'all want, so we're gonna charge a little bit more for it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it. It's taking me longer than I like, and I have the money and I'm ready to go, I'm ready to spend. But
Mhm.
it's just about finding the right one. It's
Yeah.
about it's like the right girl, right?
Exactly.
Like you got all these options over here, but some of them have a V6,
Mhm.
or some of them don't have the infotainment system you want, you
Yeah.
know. And you're just looking for that one with the V8 and the OnStar and the
Exactly.
Chevy Link and all that stuff, man. That's
Trying to
what you're
get it
looking for.
right.
Yeah, and you want it at a good price too.
Mhm. Well, I mean, if you send me your specs, I'll do a full research for you. So
That
that
would
way,
be us.
you know, you'll have a denizen looking for you.
That would be boss, man. Yeah, no, having Denson help out, that would be a blessing.
Yeah,
Truly.
man. You know, I'd be
Yeah.
finding them deals.
Right? Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, you're like the deal finder, man. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know how you do it. But you'd have to do me a favor and look up here too, like in my area, you know?
Yeah, I can do
Uh,
that.
yeah, see if you can help me find anything. But yeah, no, yeah, you got like the deal super sniffer, man. Like, I don't even know. You just like find that shit. But, yeah. So no, that sounds good, man. That sounds good.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know about you, but I'm thinking it's time for us to go ahead and move on to our topics, man.
think so too.
I
But
think it's
before
about
we,
that time.
yeah, before we do that though, let's take a quick break real quick, and we'll
Of
come right
course.
back and we'll hit those topics.
Alrighty, let's do it.
All right, so let's get into some of these topics we want to talk about. We got kind of a wide arrangement of things. So, Dennis, what were you wanting to talk about, man? What's been on your mind?
So I wanted to go ahead and talk about one of my favorite games that I've been playing right now is
Okay.
Forza Horizon 4. It's pretty amazing.
For the Xbox, right?
Yes, for the Xbox.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
Xbox. It's a pretty great game. It's very open world, adventure, fast pace, all that stuff. It's great.
Right.
I think it's a pretty amazing game, and I feel like they did a great job. But the only thing that I had a gripe on is I noticed that Toyota wasn't in the game.
Yeah,
And
I've
that was-
noticed that too.
And see, that's all of Toyota too, which is strange. Now,
Like no Lexus, no Scion, no nothing like that, right?
Exactly. Lexus and Scion are gone. The only two that they have are technically not even truly. Well, I mean, there are Toyotas, but they're from a different company. So a different company souped up the Toyota Hilux and
Oh, right.
Toyota Highlander, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as like Arctic exploration vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. But those are the only two that are actually in the game. Now, before the game released, the company actually put out Playground Games, which is the company who did Forza and stuff like that, put out a statement saying that, they were having issues with some manufacturers getting licenses for them because, each time that they create a game, they have to apply for the license to use the rights to those cars and vehicles.
Sure.
And stuff like that.
Right.
So they were saying that, they were having a hard time with it and maybe in the future you'll get different manufacturers. Now, at the same time, they weren't really speaking about Toyota specifically, but they were speaking about a couple of others. I mean, like Mitsubishi isn't in there as well, but
Okay.
a year before, because I think the same fiasco happened with Forza 7.
Yeah.
Toyota actually put out a statement saying they didn't want to lease or they didn't want to put their cars in games, in racing games in particular,
Really?
because they felt that it was taking, it's actually really funny, but they felt that it was taking away from their sales.
What?
Yeah, they thought that simulation, since, these are racing simulation games, driving simulation games, they were thinking that the youth would rather buy a simulated car and play that of their own Toyotas or whatever. Granted, these are older. Sometimes, in these games they have older Toyotas. They're not even like the new stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
They would they would rather, they would rather play the game and drive their Toyotas there rather than buying a Toyota that, from Toyota.
That sounds like a cop out, bro.
It sounds really stupid. I mean, it sounds like if their lawyers came up with that.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying, no, we don't want to give our license to these games or whatever like that.
No.
So I thought that was very interesting, very strange. I'm pretty darn sure that this is probably the same thing. Now, I did a little bit of research, and I believe Forza 7 eventually got a couple of Toyotas in their game, but
yeah, they did.
They
have like the Supra and the Scion FRS and all that kind of stuff. They got that.
Which I think those probably came out in like a later pack, a later DLC pack. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And like I said, I don't know about Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi might have just been one of those where they just weren't able to get the licensing in time for them to release them into the game. So
that's possible. Yeah.
It might just be something like that. But I just thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. I will say, a couple of things on the Toyota side of that is that. So first of all, like this stuff appeals to both of us because I'm huge into racing. Like I'm obsessed with racing. Like I download YouTube TV, bought YouTube TV. Pretty much everything I've recorded is a race of some sort.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think with Toyota, to say that they don't want their car in the game because it takes away from their sales, if that's true, my assumption is I want to say that's half true, and they're saying that it's hurting their sales because their cars aren't as competitive per se, or whatever as the other, or maybe even not as appealing because. Like, when you're playing a game like Forza, or, like, I'm a Gran Turismo fan. When you're playing one of those two games, honestly, like, Toyota does not necessarily stand out. When you have cars that you can buy that are like McLarens or Ferraris or Lamborghinis or, even Lexus, like, if you have the option between Lexus and Toyota, why are you going to get a Toyota? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a video game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I'll say Toyota does have a lot of cult classics, though. I mean, they have the MR2. They have they have the Supra. They have the Corolla AE86. They have a lot of cool cars, but I still feel like it's a little insane for them to say that it takes away from their sales because all of those cars are older cars. Those aren't even being sold.
Well, and it can't be true because I have Gran Turismo Sport, and it came out about the same time as Forza 7 and shortly before Forza Horizon 4, which are like two separate series. And they got Toyota on there. They got Lexus. They got a ton of options from both. A ton of options.
It's just insane.
So it almost seems like it's an issue between the developers and Toyota. And if that's the case, then I would just say that. If I were Toyota, I wouldn't say like, oh, you're hurting our sales. I would just be like, hey, we couldn't come to an agreement. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I also wonder, so I watch this guy on YouTube pretty frequently, right? And his name is Super GT. Okay. And he's like, I love you as Super GT here. And, and basically just like we'll upload races. I started watching him because I was trying to get good at Gran Turismo Sport because it is a tough game. You gotta drive like an actual race car driver. You gotta think like an actual race car driver. They got penalty systems in there, so you can't bump into each other or run wide on the track or cut corners or anything like that. Like you have to think like a professional race car driver.
Exactly. You can't just plow through people and hope that you win.
No, and so like he has both, or he has, well, I guess all three of the games we're talking about. And so I've watched him do all three, and like Forza Horizon just seems like a melee, like a battle royale every time the race starts, People just plow into each other. And I almost wonder, because the fact that Toyota has decided to allow their cars to be in Gran Turismo Sport, if it's a realism thing, like if they have an issue with the realism, because I'll say this, I'm not trying to hate on Forza. Like I've watched enough of the game that I'm like, the physics look amazing. The way that even if you're in the chase cam where it's following the car, it makes you feel like you're like it's like a dramatized version of feeling like you're in the car. It's really good. It's really good. But I just wonder. I don't really perceive it as realistic on the handling and driving aspects. And I wonder if Toyota has some weird issue with that, because for the longest time, I think it was like, I could be wrong. I think this is the first Gran Turismo that's had Porsche on it. Unless they were in Gran Turismo 6, which I don't think anyone played.
Very few did.
Yeah, I don't think anybody, like I don't know. Anyway, all I remember from that is there was like a moon rover and you could like drive on the moon and all this stuff. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, it was
Um,
weird.
yeah. So anyway, so Porsche wouldn't do it because they couldn't come to an agreement and they wouldn't even let the people test their cars, um, to make them like realistic. Because Gran Turismo goes to like another level, which I know Forza does too. But they go to like another level when it comes to like making sure the cars drive just like they do in real life.
Hmm.
And so I think, so that was the deal with Porsche. So I wonder if Toyota is just being a stickler for realism or something. I don't know, because like I said, they have no problem being in Gran Turismo, but now all of a sudden they have a problem being in the Forza series. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
It is very strange. I mean, I know for a little while, Forza actually had the same kind of stipulations where Porsche would always come in like later on in the series for them because of licensing issues. I guess they were just having issues in general where Porsche wouldn't give them licenses for a long time, so it would always come in as a DLC car pack, and it would
Oh,
come in a
really?
lot later on. Yeah, this is actually the first game, at least that I can think of, at least in recent years that I've played for the Forza series that they've actually had Porsche on the get go. Like they have a
Huh.
whole fleet of Porsches and stuff like that. Where
Yeah.
Forza 3, they didn't even have. You had to get a DLC, and then you would get the full fleet of Porsches. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And in addition to that, Gran Turismo has all the new Toyotas. They have the new GT86 and Supra race car,
Yeah, yeah.
and man, all kinds of stuff. New Lexus RC and ISF and all that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't want your new cars, and like that does not make sense to me. That's really confusing.
It's very strange.
Yeah, but man, that flows perfectly into what I wanted to talk about next. And um, so like obviously you're kind of an Xbox guy. Well, you don't really hold yourself to any console,
No,
but
I mean I've kind of gotten both of them, so I like both.
yeah, if well, both being Xbox and PlayStation, right? Because like no one even
Exactly.
considers Nintendo anymore, which is too bad, man.
I mean
'Cause
I love Nintendo, but they're off doing their own thing.
right, and like nerd alert, but I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan, and I am about to cop me a Nintendo so I can play that Legend of Zelda. It's been out for like a year now, but anyway,
A little late.
yeah, I'm a little late in the game, but hey, better late than never. So, anyway, like the thing with I'm a PlayStation guy. Like I love Sony's PlayStation. I love everything about it. I think it's so solid. And I don't even have like the new. Actually, our buddy Devon that we keep talking about. We need to get him on the show, man. We need to get him on the show eventually. But yeah, but he hooked me up with my PS4. And it's not even the Pro version, and like the Pro version came out recently, like relatively recently.
Yeah, and it's selling really well.
Yeah, and so like like I said, I work in the news, right? So we're like constantly getting new stuff, even overnight when I work. And I saw yesterday that PlayStation is getting set to unveil a new console, and and it just bugs me because I realize that like my PS4 is more recent to me than it is to a lot of other people. I guess the PS4. Well, it's been out for like what, a long time? Like
it's been a long time, yeah.
I guess 5 years. I don't know. It just feels so fast. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think, or I was just going to say that I think that the fact is you had the PS3 and the PS3 and the Xbox 360 were actually one of the longest like generation console generations that we've had. Because usually console generations would jump pretty quickly, but yeah, that was actually the longest one that we had. So
Yeah.
It was a little strange when, we were expecting the same thing with the PS4 and the Xbox, but then we got, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X
Yeah.
so
Well,
quickly.
I guess that's my thing too, is like, okay, so say you got a PS4 like when it came out, and then 3 years later they say, hey, there's this PS4 Pro coming out. So then you're like, a fan enough that you want to go out and get the PS4 Pro. And then 2 years after that, they're like, hey, we're about to unveil a new console. And you're like, what? Like, I just spent all this money. And the thing is, like, really, the PlayStations, they've not gone up too much in price, I suppose. But these things are not cheap. And in addition to that, they have such, they connect with so many other things. Like you can connect your phone to it if you want, or, obviously your TV. But you have several accounts, like I have mine set up with my YouTube and my Spotify and all that stuff. And it's like, well, then, damn, now I have to go through and do this all over again with a new console,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I get the feeling I'm one of the few people that actually care about that. Because, people always get new technology and stuff. But this kind of goes back to something we talked about last week. It just seems like it continues to go faster and faster and faster. In this case, it's probably my perspective because they'll probably unveil this console early next year. And then it probably won't come out till 2020,
See,
but,
go ahead.
well, I mean, that's just me speculating, though.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like, I feel like PlayStation has, for the most part, already they've reached their limitations on the newest on the PlayStation 4. So I think that's one reason why they've been kind of wanting to do the another, a newer console or whatever like that. Especially since there was actually rumors from PlayStation that they were going to release another console, or they were going to announce another console or whatever like that, saying that they were going to work on PlayStation 5. And later on, PlayStation even announced saying, hey, we're not working on it. But I have a feeling that they were actually working on it at that point in time.
Right. They wanted to be secret.
Exactly. They were working on it at that point in time, but after hearing the backlash, they slowed down their production. I had that feeling they were actually probably going to try and go for like either a 2018, or maybe not 2018, but early 2019 sometime release. So maybe they push that back to maybe late 20, or early 2020. So yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like they are probably going to announce it next year at E3.
Yeah, probably so. That's probably true. But even that's a long ways away. That's almost a year away.
It is, yeah. But I feel like that they're probably going to do something like that just because I think they're ready to go. It's going to be interesting, especially since these newer platforms are diving into the new realm of streaming games, which I'm not a big fan of, but I know for some people that might be a more viable option for them.
Like Fortnite and stuff, right?
No, streaming, no? It'd be like streaming a whole game. So you wouldn't actually have that game.
Like not even downloaded on your, like not even a digital copy, like not even downloaded on your thing, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So Xbox right now has a platform that's pretty much similar to that. It's like the early versions of that, pretty much, where you're renting a game pretty much, and you, while you have that game rented, you're streaming that game from one of their servers or whatever like that. So they've already got stuff like that in the works. Now, of course, Xbox has the ability for you to download that game and then just play it, and then, once your rental's done, it takes it away or whatever, or you don't have the ability to play it anymore. But there is that streaming factor there, and PlayStation already has that in their own PlayStation Now thing as well.
Yes.
And stream older games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, they do have that. I also read with Xbox, they're doing, which I think this is kind of cool for Microsoft to do because it's like good product placement for all their stuff. But they are doing a Microsoft like Cloud X, I think is what they called it, and so like you can play your game on your console, take off, I don't know, you have to go to the bathroom, you don't want to stop playing in the bathroom, so you grab your tablet, and then you connect the Cloud X, and you pick up right where you left off on your tablet, on your PC, on whatever Microsoft product you have. That's I'm not gonna say I like it necessarily just because I'm not that into gaming. Like I don't feel like it's that necessary. But what I do like it from is perspective of product placement and just spreading out your product to where it connects and you're constantly getting more just more into the market. You're invading the market more through that, and I think that's pretty cool.
And it also is like ease for the customer.
Yeah,
they're able to use whatever device or system that they have to be able to play games without having to worry about, I don't know, the limitations of having to be like right there on your couch or whatever.
Exactly. No, you get all wherever you want to do it in one place. So yeah, if you're that into gaming, then all power to you. All more power to you. But for me, it's not necessary. But I was just impressed with it from a branding standpoint and a marketing standpoint. I think it's a genius idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that kind of takes me into. We kind of been talking about this. One thing that was kind of on both of our minds, I think, was just how expensive things are getting now. Again, PlayStation, not a great example. It really, man, I could be tripping on this because my memory is fading these days. But I feel like it's no more expensive than the PS3 was. Maybe a little bit, but PS3 came. Well, when the PS3, okay, it just came back. It just popped back right there. PS3, yeah, it was about $100 more. The PS4 was when it came out.
Was it? Because when the PS3 first came out, it was $600, and if I was sure, yeah. So that was the thing with PlayStation, which that was their biggest mistake at that point. Yeah. It was like $600, and Sony was like proud of that too. They were just saying like, you'll get a second job to pay for this console or whatever like that.
Right. So, you sell your house, you buy.
You'll do like a bunch of crazy stuff to play their game or buy their system. The PlayStation 4, if I'm not mistaken, came out. When it came out, it was around, what was it, $400? I think.
Yeah. Okay. No. So I wasn't tripping the first time. Yes, that's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So it did go down in price, especially when you're comparing it to the PlayStation 4. And we also have to remember, for inflation wise, $600 back then was a lot of money. It's a lot of money in general, but at the same time, it was at least the equivalent of around like $700-800 or so. It wasn't something that everyone could just throw down for a gaming console. It's a gaming console.
Yeah, well, and I still wouldn't throw down for like 400. I would save up for that.
Yeah, it's still a hard thing to do.
But what was your thoughts with these with the pricing of things and how expensive stuff's getting? What were you thinking with that?
So I don't know. My opinion on prices, at least for like gaming consoles, I feel like they're not going to get super crazy. I do feel like the next generation, if they become a hardware base, like something that's trying to push the boundaries of hardware, just like how the Xbox One X was trying to do, I feel like the price is going to go up on them, because just to get those type of components and parts, it's just it's not easy. You can use that same kind of logic with smartphones in general. So, for instance, I had a Note 4 a long time ago.
Right.
And that was an expensive phone at the time.
Yeah.
That was, I think around $800 whatever dollars. And a lot of that was off of the materials that they would use. And at one point I actually cracked my screen and I found out how expensive how expensive one of those materials is, which is the screen. Since it was a high quality 1440p screen, AMOLED, which is pretty much an OLED. It's an OLED panel.
Oh, okay. It's optical LED.
Organic LED, but yeah.
Organic. Oh man. See, I'm learning all kinds of stuff on this podcast.
That screen replacement was incredibly expensive because of the materials that it uses. So that's the reason why we see, like, right now, electronics. I'm very big into phones, so that's why you see, these $1,000 phones, which is an astronomical number that we thought we would never even get to, especially for a phone, right?
Right.
But we're getting this way because they're introducing more and more materials that are more premium and harder to. They're not as cheap as we would want them to. And at the same time, you also have to remember that the company has to make some sort of money, so they're going to put their premium on there. Now,
sure.
When it comes to certain phones, so I don't want to name drop, but I guess I kind of will in some ways.
Oh, no.
There are some companies, such as Apple, where they'll have a bigger premium than other brands.
Right.
Or I should say a bigger margin for than other brands. So Samsung's, like, for instance, the newest Note 9 or whatever like that they just came out with.
Right.
That actually their margins are a lot smaller than, say, something like the iPhone XS. And
10S. Excuse me.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm just going off of what I see, and I mean, you can't go from numbers to like we're using Roman numerals right now. So
know,
it's whatever. But I understand you're trying to get the whole brand thing, change your image and stuff like that. It's like a premium thing, but like I said, they command a type of premium which is sometimes unheard of. When you have like phones, for instance, like the phone that I have, it's a OnePlus or whatever. It comes in at a much lower price point, but still packs a lot of the specs that a lot of these higher end things are going for. Now, it takes away a couple of features, and I feel like that at the same time kind of still shows that how premium these electronics are. Yeah. So the more technology that we cram in these, say, phones or whatever we have, the more expensive they become. So I can understand the inflation there, but at the same time, the longer that the technology's out and around, the easier or the cheaper it starts to get. So things do get cheaper, but it's only when they become very popular, and they also become, because when they're very popular, manufacturers are going to have to manufacture it a lot more. And of course, they're going to try to find ways to make the manufacturing process cheaper. Yes. So they're going to find different ways on how to do certain things and different ways to make the manufacturing of that product easier to actually make them more money.
Exactly. And so therefore, like, even though it comes with new features and all that stuff, the production quality of it, but the actual material may take a beating.
Exactly.
It may not be where it needs to be to have that consumer confidence. I mean, you have like, how many times have we heard, they just don't make it like they used to? But like, there's a reason for that, and there's a couple of reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's the first is that there are more people in this world than there's ever been, and if you look at where we're at now, like 8 billion people, and it was like when we were born. In the early 90s, I want to say it was nearing 5 billion, so it's grown a lot in just our lifetime,
It has.
So you have more people to cater to than ever before. One, two, we're asking more. We're asking for more now. Like, we talked a little bit about this last week. And it's not enough to have like your phone have LTE everywhere that you go. Now you gotta have LTE available in your car, so therefore you can have a Wi-Fi hotspot everywhere you go. And it has to have a touch screen, all this stuff and this and that. And I know I just said earlier I want that in my pickup, but I'm saying like it is like it raises the cost of the product because they have to put more effort into that. But then I know we keep going back to cars, but specifically with cars, now that you have all that extra equipment in there, you're trying to meet fuel mileage standards. And you gotta have something that will push around all that added weight. So then you have to put all this extra R&D into your engine so that you can have good fuel mileage while also having enough power to lug around all this extra stuff that you have. So in the case of phones, like, so it's Team Apple versus Team Android over here. The new iPhone, I will not be buying. I will just tell you that right now. Like, there's no need for that. Because it's so expensive, and with with the 3D face scanner or whatever thing, kind of freaky. But now and I realize pretty much all these things are copying Samsung at this point. But like with a screen from top to bottom, like imagine cracking that thing. Like they don't even have a home button anymore,
Yeah.
So imagine cracking your screen. And the only way you can access your phone is by scanning your thumb or scanning your face or whatever.
It's a face reader. That's what Apple uses.
Right. I mean, just imagine how much that would cost just to replace that.
It's actually about, if I'm not mistaken, it's about $300.
Good Lord. It's like, so they ask you, hey, do you want to pay an extra $50 for the insurance? And you're like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to buy a case. I'm good. I want to look at this sleek new phone all the time. And then you're like, shh, I dropped it.
Yeah, exactly.
I dropped it on my way up the stairs right when I got home. Oh my God. I just don't get it. And like, I have a 6S, which I think is the best iPhone Apple ever made. That's just my random opinion. But I bought that when the iPhone 7 had come out, So I got it for cheaper. Like, I'll tell you right now, like the iPhone XS, I got issues with Apple right now. Like, I don't understand their branding, their products. Like, it went from iPhone 8 to iPhone 8. Wait, what? I don't even know it. They had an iPhone 8 out at the same time they had an iPhone 10, which was supposed to be for the 10th anniversary of iPhone, but now it's a marketing product. So now it's an iPhone XS. So they completely skipped 9. So I don't even know. Like I would just get an iPhone 8. I'll put it like that. I would just buy if I were buying a new iPhone right now, which I may have to. I would just get an iPhone 8. Like that's all I need.
You'd get an iPhone without a headphone jack?
See, that's the whole thing. Like, well, I usually use Bluetooth headphones for my phone anyway, so it wouldn't really be a huge deal.
But you do lose that convenience of having a headphone jack.
You do, and then what doesn't make any sense. Well, it does if you're Apple and you're trying to make money. Man, we're bashing on Apple right now, but their headphones were already easy enough to lose. I've washed like 5 pairs of their headphones over the course of my life.
I've done that too.
Yeah, and now they got rid of the cords entirely, so it's just these little AirPods that sit in your ear.
Or you can carry around a dongle.
Man, I just don't even like the word dongle.
Come on now, you don't want a dongle life?
I ain't trying to be that hashtag dongle life, man. I know that little stupid connector. I'm like, oh my God, no. And so like, it's just going to be even easier to lose those headphones. Like what? I don't know. I don't know what Apple's doing right now. I don't think Apple knows what Apple's doing right now. I've seen enough stuff online that like people that have been longtime Apple fans the past couple of years have been like, okay, what are y'all doing? You know,
Yeah.
like even the new Mac. How much is that new MacBook? It
it's
is
very expensive. If I'm not mistaken, it can top out at about like $5,000.
Who the hell would pay that? Who would do that?
See,
I
there are people out there, and that's the thing. Apple
know.
caters to those people.
They do. Yeah, there's probably someone listening to us on one right now, honestly. But I mean, like, I got Lenovo, works perfectly fine. I got this laptop in 2012. Works great. There are some things I would like for it to work better, especially when I'm recording music and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Overall, it still works fine. And it cost me like $650.
Yeah.
I did get a discount, but even still, you know, you can get good, high quality Lenovo's for like 900 or 1,000, and they will get the job done like perfectly, you know,
Yeah.
for whatever you need.
They work pretty well. I'm not gonna lie.
Which Lenovo is an IBM brand, and so I kind of feel like if more people knew that, they'd probably champion Lenovo a little bit more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
it's also a Chinese brand as well.
yeah.
No, I mean I like Lenovo's. We're working on those at work, and I really enjoy those. But I think I'm not a big fan of. I think in some ways you also have to kind of understand that the Mac versus Windows, if we're going to go with that type of debate or whatever like that, Apple's a hardware company. And I think a lot of people forget that. Microsoft is a software company. And in some ways you can almost do it the same way with Android versus iPhone. At the same time, it's still a hardware versus software debate.
Yeah.
Android is a software. It's a software operating system, which it's adapting to multiple devices, and Apple is just an iPhone, so it's just one phone. So they only have to adapt their own iOS to one phone or one phone type or whatever like that. So they know the types of phone that they have to worry about. So I don't, as much as I like to bash on Apple, I don't like the way that they're doing some of their stuff, but I do understand it. I can understand where it's coming from.
Right.
But I do feel like they are getting to a point to where their innovations are lacking, and their users are starting to feel it. Now, most of those users aren't going to jump ship quickly because Apple has been smart and they've created an ecosystem to keep those people in. So, definitely. I mean, think about it. You're still going to be an iPhone user. Why? Because all of your iTunes music is there. You like
all my music's there.
Yeah,
all
you
my
like using
passwords.
applications. You like using all your apps are there, right? You like using you enjoy your iMessage. You enjoy all of these things that. Well, I mean, it's.
I got that blue message, bro.
It's a part of that ecosystem that they've created. I feel like there was a point to where Apple stopped working on phones and they started working on their ecosystem because they understood that that was what keeps people in their brand. That's what keeps people in Apple.
Yeah, but they don't even market it though. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Some of the coolest things on my iPhone is like stuff that they never tell you about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you have to go in and actually find out, oh, my iPhone does this. Like, obviously you can do research online.
Yeah.
But the front things that they market are always the camera and the screen and the speed, you know, and it's the same stuff every time. And we already expect that we're going to get that, you know, so tell me about the stuff I didn't expect to get. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just a thing to me. I don't know. It just kind of gets me, but we need to move on, man.
For sure.
Yeah. Cause this is getting to be about that time, but
it is.
Let's go ahead and take a break real quick.
Alrighty. And then we can get into that last meaty topic.
right, the last thing I wanted to get into here, heavy topic of the week. We're going to try this out to see how it goes, but this is something that's been on my mind. I have it on my mind for a very personal reason. Not that I struggle with it per se, but everybody does to an extent, but it is really the topic of mental health, which again, I'll go back on what I was saying. Everybody struggles with mental health. I mean, because it's just like any other part of your body. You know, you got to keep every part of your body healthy. And, so obviously, you know, your mind is going to be at the forefront of that. But I was, close to someone that struggled with mental health issues for a while. And we just recently went our separate ways. The thing is this, I didn't know too much about mental health, before I knew this person. And it was a learning curve. It was a steep learning curve, and there was a lot to learn. And one of the things I learned is how common and prevalent mental health issues are. But I think the thing is that there are certain people, well, I'll put it like this, it gets swept under the rug. Mental health issues do. Sometimes. A lot of the time. They don't want to be talked about. They're kind of taboo. You know, you don't want to be spoken about. And obviously for the person going through it, it's a struggle to speak about as well. But I think the thing is this, they don't get spoken enough about in part because you have people who will blame their own issues on that.
They use it as a crutch.
They use that as a crutch, yeah. And I'm not even necessarily saying that they're saying they have the issue and they don't, because I don't want to get into that. I mean, that could be a totally different thing. But they use it as a crutch. And I think I think because of that, it may sound weird, but it kind of makes the problem not actually get fixed or not actually paid attention to. Because when you start making excuses for something, it's tough to explain. Like, I'll take Kanye, right? Like, Kanye is kind of at the forefront or he's kind of the conductor of the wacky train right now. And, you know, so he says he has mental health issues, right? Like, out of nowhere. And I'm not entirely sure that's the case. Maybe it is, but maybe you're just on some bad drugs, man. I don't know. Anyway, who knows? But anyway, he says he does, and he's been trying to quote unquote be himself lately. And it's been a totally different Kanye from what the world has come to know. And so Saturday Night Live, right? They had Kanye on, and he kind of went on his own rant at the very end of the season premiere. Well, next week they're doing this weekend update, and Pete Davidson, you know, the guy that's getting married to Ariana Grande, he was telling it from his perspective, and he struggles with mental health issues too. I think he said he struggles with depression and anxiety, and he was he goes, look, and it was funny. It was said in a funny context, but it was also meant to be serious. He goes, look, having mental health issues does not give you the excuse to be a jackass, you know? And he goes, and that's coming from my therapist, my mom, and the mailman, which made me laugh. But, it's true. I think it's what you said. People use it as a crutch, and it prevents the problem from getting solved. In the case of a dating relationship, it can be an entirely different thing altogether. It can lead to manipulation and confusion and frustration. All these things that are, they're common in relationships to begin with. But it adds a whole other factor when you use mental health issues as a crutch or an excuse. You know,
it becomes very taxing on the relationship.
It does. It really does. And taxing on both sides. And so what I'm trying to say is this, that I think there is a mental health issue in this country, and potentially more than just this country. I think it's for several reasons. I think it's social media. I think it's the media in general. Um, I think it is our culture, parenting. But I also think that it's just not talked about enough. And the more we talk about it, just like you and I are, maybe some people will realize that it's not, they're not alone, they're not the only ones. I also think, like, when I say culture, this kind of goes back to something you and I talk about a lot, is how we are worked more than ever before. Like, we're doing more and paid less and doing it at a faster rate than ever before. And that takes a toll on your mind,
It really does.
no matter what, no matter who you are. And so you just have to find that thing that anchors you. I mean, I follow The Rock on Instagram, and I appreciate a lot of things about The Rock, and he's entertaining, but I mean, even he's talked about that to an extent. Now, I don't think he's said that he has mental health issues, but I think he has talked about even just mild anxiety, and he's like, you have to find that thing that anchors you, that centers you, that you can always come back to. Now, for him, that's the gym. And for me, it is too, even though, I'm not The Rock. I'll just say that, but it is that for me as well. But, people just need to, I think the hardest part with all these things is realizing that you're not alone. And once you realize that, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you got this.
I was just going to say, once you realize that, it's then finding the thing that makes you centered, and allows you to live that life. I mean, there's a whole bunch of successful people, and Demi Lovato is one of them, even though she's recently had her drug struggles, of course. Outside of that, she has bipolar disorder, and which is a tough thing to deal with. I mean, it's just got to be tough. But she's still one of the most famous female singers in the world, and maybe even the most talented female vocalist in pop music right now. And she still made something of herself. And so I think people need to realize that you shouldn't not talk about it, and you can still have a normal life, even if you are struggling with it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like our culture right now, it kind of shames being or having mental health issues. So it kind of pushes it under the rug and make the people who do have, serious problems not seek out help because they feel like they'll be called like a freak or they'll be alienated by their friends, where if they actually, get the help that they need, they can actually, like you said, live perfectly normal lives. It's just we really need to change that stigma that comes with, having mental health issues or whatever like that, or having issues just in general with life. We should be more open, and I feel like we've become a lot more closed as a society.
I agree. I agree. And that goes into a whole bunch of other stuff. I would still say social media and all that kind of stuff kind of keeps us from being more sociable in public.
Exactly.
And it goes. So we're both friends of that show Psych, right? Oh man, I miss that show. But James Roday, James Roday is he's in this show called A Million Little Things now, and I saw a preview of it. It kind of looks like This Is Us, but I think it's a little different. They're trying to make societal statements. Okay. And one of the first things he says is, so his best friend commits suicide. And he's at a bar with a couple of his friends, and they're talking, and he goes, did anyone know he was depressed? Like, none of us knew that. we don't talk anymore. None of us discuss things face to face. There's no way we could have known. And I mean, it's exactly right. We just don't talk. I mean, like we said on the previous episode, you know, we kind of grew up in a time where you kind of, I mean, we've had a mix of the older ways of doing things and now all, like, everything being different with technology and all that kind of stuff. And I can honestly say from my experience, even though I was much younger, like, it was a lot better when we didn't have a screen in front of our face all the time. And just talking like you and I are right now, you know?
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I just wanted to voice that real quick. It was something that was on my heart, so I just wanted to share that real quick. But anyway, I think it's about time that we get out of here, man. It's been another good episode. I know on the last one I said that we are gonna have like our own social media platform and website and all that stuff. Technically, that is true. We will have a website where you can go eventually to all this stuff. We're working on that right now. We'll each have our own social media stuff from there. But yeah, we're working on it. I'll let you know when it's up, and we will go from there. But
for sure.
Yeah, but for now, I think it's time we get out of here, bro.
I think so too.
All right. Thank you all for listening. This has been The Catch Up. Peace out.
Bye, guys.